I'm Allison Eyring, organization psychologist, CEO, and endurance athlete. I've spent the last 25 years helping companies solve the people and organizational challenges of growth. I've worked with all types of CEOs and business leaders across the world, but it takes a special kind of leader to successfully grow a business. I call them growth leaders. These leaders have an edge for growth. This allows them to drive performance today while transforming their business for tomorrow while keeping their people energized. So whether you're starting a company or reigniting a team within a large, mature company, I'll show you what it takes to successfully drive business growth through conversations with some of the best growth leaders I know. In this episode, I'm going to explore AI and health tech and learn about one startup in Singapore that's using machine learning to democratise echocardiography. I'm going to speak with Dr. Carolyn Lam, co-founder of a medtech startup called eko.ai, about this topic. Carolyn, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks so much, Allison, for having me.
Now, should I call you Dr. Lam?
No, call me Carolyn.
Thanks, Carolyn. Talk to me a little bit about eko.ai, which is the company that you've co-founded. I understand that it's using machine learning to automate the fight against heart disease. Tell me a little bit about how this works.
So exactly like you said, heart disease is still the top killer among all of us, men and women included. And so we're on a mission to automate the fight against heart disease, which begins by detecting heart disease early enough so that we can treat and prevent the hospitalizations and death. Now, the tool that cardiologists reach for most easily available everywhere is echocardiography or ultrasound of the heart. It's really safe. It's really easy to do. The problem is it's really difficult to interpret because once you get the images, you have to kind of tell whether it's normal or not. And so that's where eko.ai comes in. It really turns a 30-minute, 250 clicks process with up to 20% variability between human readers and turns that all into 2 minutes, 1 click, and 0 variability. So completely reliable, reproducible results.
So it must be an awful lot less expensive.
So we are going to actually increase the efficiency of doctors who do that. It's a decision support. So it's up to the doctors what they're going to still charge for an echocardiography or not. But so cost is a different discussion. But the real moonshot aim is honestly to put heart health into everybody's hands. Look, ultrasound is so safe that we can use it to image our unborn fetuses, right, in our tummies. So why not put it in everyone's hands just to image the heart, just point at the left side of your chest and then use our AI to kind of tell you if what you're looking at is normal or not. The cost then becomes manageable, right? But that's the ultimate goal. Right now, there are echo probes that are available even commercially that can plug into your smartphone. However, what we want to be is the AI that enables that.
So I'm super interested in that because I come from a family of physicians, and one of my observations is that physicians are often very confident of their judgment. And I'm curious if you have found there to be openness and excitement about the use of AI in diagnostic testing, so what's been the reaction of?
Well, tell you what, I'm a physician myself, so I can tell you my own reaction. And we're a terribly backward bunch in many ways. We do many things simply because we've trained so darn long to learn how to do this way that we stop questioning whether what we do can be done any better. And so I was one of those. And if I could then tell you how this story came about, basically, the CEO of eko.ai himself was then like a retired, very, very successful entrepreneur and decided to check up his heart, got an abnormal initial reading of an electrocardiogram, which is different from the ultrasound. It only shows the electrical rhythm. And therefore, of course, he needed an echocardiogram. We actually needed to look at the heart. Well, he was shocked that he couldn't get it at his general practitioners. He couldn't get it anywhere. He had to wait in line to be seen by a cardiologist to even get this procedure done. And then after getting it, he had to wait for weeks only to get two different readings from two different doctors. And he was like, what? What's going on? What are you guys doing? And frankly, he was the person who caused me to question it, because then he decided to come into our hospitals, all legitimately, of course, and observe the way we do things. And he saw expensive doctors all holed up in rooms, and we were doing computer games, although none of us enjoy it, trust me. Hours and hours clicking and clicking away, tracing the borders of the heart, like my 5-year-old tracing, literally. And that's all we do, just to be able to interpret for him whether it's normal or not. And the minute he saw that and realized, of course, that's error prone, then, of course, two different doctors are going to give different results. All this can be automated. And that's how the story of eko.ai was born. So
Right. And you became converted. Well, and it's a great example too of the genesis of so many startups is really a pain point. And so this is great. So it took a physician realizing how time consuming and unreliable the existing system was to say, wow, we got to do it better.
no, I have to give credit. It took a nosy, almost irritating patient to make the physician realize how slow we were at doing everything. And honestly, yes, I'm convinced.
You co-founded eko.ai in 2017 with two other partners. Once you had the concept, what was the vision that the three of you shared?
So my two co-founders are simply amazing. So I've already mentioned the first one, who was a bit irritating at first when I realized he was trying to replace me with AI, but he's the CEO. The other co-founder is just a terrific echo trained person who runs Echo Labs. And he really, really had the foresight to see that much of what he does could be automated. And so the simple thing was to automate the entire process that is human dependent and takes a long time. And frankly, that the people who do it don't even enjoy. And so to really make it a perhaps joyful experience to read an echocardiogram and to get a really simple report. And that means that this would be something really that even general practitioners or non-trained, non-cardiologists would be able to interpret. Like seriously, just this is normal, your heart size is normal or not, and things like that. So the vision, perhaps I could give an analogy. When you do an electrocardiogram these days, I'm not sure if you've had one done. It's those electrical squiggles on a piece of paper, but right on top is actually English. And an English statement, this is normal, you might be having a heart attack, abnormal, please pay attention, that sort of thing. And notice that because of that simple automation of the electrocardiogram that we've had long time ago, you can now get an electrocardiogram with a general practitioner and so on, whom I have to tell you, some of them may have forgotten how to read the actual electrical squiggles, and they're reading the report on the top, right? But it's the same analogy, because electrocardiograms used to be the turfs of only cardiologists. So can you imagine if you had to get your heart checked? You can't even get it screened. You'd have to come to a cardiologist, if not for a little bit of machine learning in those days. Well, we want to do it for the most commonly used tool to image the heart, for echo as well. That's the real vision.
Coming up in the next segment.
AI talent right now is like rock stars. Oh my goodness. They're just never enough. I think we've got to be really, really grateful.
You're listening to Growth Leaders, a podcast with Alison Eyring.
Carolyn, what I find so exciting about what you're doing is taking information that was by highly specialized experts and making it available much more broadly, which lowers the cost, improves accuracy. What have been some of the barriers to the business itself that you faced?
Oh, okay. So one huge barrier was from the medical community, of which I am absolutely guilty. So that resistance to change. And I think that's one big thing that we're still trying to overcome. But let me tell you how we think we might. And that is really by engaging the greatest skeptics the people who write the echocardiography textbooks of the world, the people who run the largest labs in the world, and to engage them and tell them, why don't you just try our software? Just try it. Let's see what you think. And then by just having the best darn product out there to completely convince them and turn them from skeptics into evangelists, so to speak. And because these are key opinion leaders of the world, it's my hope that their opinions will, hold weight and change that around. The other challenge for sure is finding enough AI talent. The CEO of eko.ai has said this before. It's like AI talent right now, it's like rock stars. Oh my goodness, they're just never enough. And here, I think we've got to be really, really grateful to people around us who've helped. One of them is the Agency of Science and Technology Research in Singapore and their commercialization arm, Accelerate, who've really helped us connect with AI talent and research institutes here. EDBI, who's one of our investors, has also been so active in referring talent over. SG Innovate as well, again, all these wonderful local setups that have really made a big difference. We've also been very lucky to be supported by Startup Health globally, where the international context really helps. So we actually have a team that's kind of from all over the world and a bit spread out all over the world. And now, I mean, in this day and age, everyone can work remotely on the same platform. So it's amazing. And then I think that was the second barrier. And then the third and final one is data. So data is really, really key in the AI world. And here, I suppose I'm just really grateful that I've been, I don't know, maybe made for this in the sense that that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years of my life as an academic cardiologist. I was just purely, seeing patients, having registries, doing trials. But all of these patients had given their informed consent to have their echoes done and stored and analyzed by us. And so they became the data that we could use to look at automation. That's one. And secondly, I kind of was connected to other people who also had these databases. And so we've now managed to form a federated network, a federated learning network, to be accurate. This is a new term that I learned, and it's because we've got, our lab connected with the Brigham lab, connected with another lab in Canada and another lab in Taiwan, another lab in Seoul. So we've got, and more, so this huge network. And basically, because patient echo data is very precious, security is very important, it can't leave the premises, right? But algorithms can. And so it's a way to keep learning at incredible speeds across all the different databases without the data ever leaving, without security ever being compromised. So those were some of the challenges and perhaps some of the solutions.
Carolyn, you talked a little bit about some of the barriers when you first set the company up, and one of them was the resistance of the medical community. So I was curious, do you think the resistance was feeling a threat to their expertise, or was it more of an economic threat to their livelihood? Or was it both?
Very good point. Excellent point. I think the first thing is frankly ego. It's the fact that, we've trained so many years and to expect an algorithm to replace what I know, that sort of thing. I think, and maybe I'm being too generalized, but at least that's kind of my reaction, right? Until I saw that it could actually be done. So that's one thing. So I do think it's that expertise part. And also, when AI is presented, there's just so many things that AI means. And especially when it's a black box approach, it's really hard to trust. And so, what we've done in our product, for example, is not try to say, oh, trust us. When we say it's normal, it's normal. We actually literally recapitulate what the human being does and exactly how they measure. And we show in our report exactly what our machine learning drew out so that the doctor can change it, the doctor can do whatever they want in case. So I think all of that helps to build trust. The livelihood part, fascinatingly, I didn't see that happen. And it's because we all know that there's a huge backlog of cases for echo. That's why in some cases for example, in the UK and in Europe, you have to wait months to even get a simple echo. So no one's afraid of running out of work. Trust us. We're just like, oh, help us to do this quicker. By the way, it also means they can do more in a shorter time. They can cut out the stuff that they don't like doing and do more of the stuff they like doing. So in a sense, it's win-win.
That it sounds like your business has the perfect combination of a huge technical expertise and around hearts as the depth of physician plus researcher, and then now really having rich database that allows you to use machine learning and AI to improve accuracy of predictions.
Yes, it's a great mix of talents that's definitely needed. I'm really humbled. I know that this is a whole team thing. I, as a cardiologist seeing patients, know how it's usually done, know what cardiologists think, know what the patient needs, but don't know how to make it happen. But at least I can provide that vision. But having an algorithm from a machine learning expert is very different from creating a product that's actually usable in a clinician's hands. So I've been humbled. I had no idea, trust me. This is my first company. I had no idea how much work it took. But even that, so even if you got an algorithm, you got to make into a product. And that's where we have people, business, who know on the front face side, people who know how to grow a business. It's a team effort.
So you now wear a lot of hats. You're a business leader, a consulting cardiologist, a professor. So talk to me a little bit about how you wear so many different hats and how do they challenge you in different ways as a leader?
Oh my goodness. The different hats are sometimes hard to balance. And I say this very humbly because I'm not sure I've got them all figured out. However, what I do try to do is to make sure that each role complements each other rather than rubs it against. So, for example, my seeing patients actually helps me build a company or build a product that is really going to help patients at the end of the day. For example, my clinical research, as I've shown you, becomes the data that allows us to learn. And so I try to make sure it's integrated within myself. I try to make sure that at the end of the day, my conscience is clear and my focus is ultimately the patient. It has always been that. I will always be first and foremost a doctor. And then finally, this is just a little thing that I try to remind myself and reflect on every day. I always tell myself, okay, work with my natural strengths if I have any. So, well, work with them. I work on my potential strengths. And I know I've got a lot of things I need to learn to work on. For example, understanding machine learning better, understanding networking better, and so on. And then work around my limitations. I've learned that no, enough banging my head against things that I will just, might as well work with other people whose strengths are my weaknesses and delegate.
I love that.
So
Yeah,
work with my strengths, yeah, work on my potential strengths and work around my weaknesses.
I love that. Work with, work on, and work around. That's fabulous.
Coming up in the next segment.
If the work is of such high quality, it will almost speak for itself. Always over-deliver on quality and reliability.
You're listening to Growth Leaders, a podcast with Alison Eyring.
I love that you think of yourself first and foremost as a physician and that you keep the patient top of mind. For myself, I'm an organization psychologist, so that's my training. And it's so interesting. I really connect with what you're saying because in my own job, I run a business. But in my heart, I know that what's important is that I still have to activate my expertise from my profession in the application of the work that we do. And so I really love that. So just the way you're thinking about the patient, about organizations and the work that we do with them. And I think it's important to have that anchor and not be swayed by the different hats that we wear.
I love that. You see, you always have a way of putting it so much better than I do. That's great.
Now, Carolyn, do you have children?
Yes, I do. I sure do. I talked about the four going on, I was going to say five, but I think it's more like 15-year-old little boy that I have that watches us kind of trace the echoes, and that's kind of like, Mommy, that's like me joining the dots. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. So yes, I do.
So that's another hat. So you're like super mom.
No, no, I'm normal, trying my best, but I do know that my kids know I love them.
I love that. So I'm going to ask you one other question because you talked earlier about ecosystems and about having this federated network that you're collaborating and sharing data. And there many business leaders need those maybe not that exact kind of community, but they have to build partnerships across organizations. What is your advice to leaders that need to help build a better ecosystem or a stronger set of partnerships outside of their own organization?
Yeah, I think importantly, it begins with really having that best product that you yourself would use hand on your heart. I really, really think if the work is of such high quality, it will almost speak for itself. And so always over deliver on quality and reliability. And then I'm one of those, I mean, maybe call it because I'm a woman and go more by instinct. Trust. You've heard of the book Speed of Trust and so on. I strongly believe in it. That I mean, when I was younger, I still remember my dad constantly telling me, use your head, not your heart. Use your, But I think as I've grown older, I've realized that heart, that gut instinct that tells you to trust or not, and to just sort of say, okay, I'm just going to trust. I hope you trust me too, and let's just go for it. I really rely more and more on that. Sorry, Dad, but there.
Well, okay, as a scientist, you will appreciate knowing that there's a lot of research on trust and what builds trust. And in fact, there's three things that allow people to trust. One is that if they perceive you to be competent, if they perceive that you have integrity, and if they perceive that you're benevolent, and you embody that. So even though you think it's you being intuitive and trusting your heart, in fact, your behavior is very much building trust because you do the things that allow people to trust you.
Oh, thanks so much for sharing that, Allison. Thank you.
So, Carolyn, I have loved talking to you. I hope that everybody that's listening to you will also listen to your own podcast, Circulation on the Run. I understand you also co-host a TV show called Body and Soul, which I will make sure to listen to as well. This has been a fabulous conversation. I'm excited for you and wish you and your business great success.
Thank you, Allison. Pleasure was all mine. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to Growth Leaders wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a comment and a rating. We'd love to hear what you think. If you have questions about growth or growth leadership, please email us at growthleaders@organizationsolutions.com. Growth Leaders is produced by Organization Solutions in partnership with MediaCorp. Many thanks to Dee Kirk, Sean Young, Barry Toe, Keith Tan, Zach Rassley, and Susan Eyring.